He gives us his predictions, his headlines for Monday morning. So you ready to go?
Indeed, I am.
Week 17. Let's start here. Tomorrow's headlines today. Brady and the Bucs, Sam Darnold and the Panthers. What say you?
Big one here. Division on the line.
I know.
The headline will be, ahoy me Brady. Tom steers Bucs into the playoffs. Tom Brady gets the job done. Colin, this is a fishy line. Last time these two teams played, Tampa was favored by 13 points on the road and lost outright. It was a bad loss. It was against P.J. Walker. Now they're at home and only 3-point favorites. Something wacky's going on here. I don't know what to make of Carolina, though. Their top two cornerbacks are out. J.C. Horn will not play in this one. He's been a superstar this year. You know who they called in? Josh Norman. I'm sure you remember him from back in the day with Carolina. Colin, he owned a coffee shop in Atlanta. He was literally pulled out of the coffee shop this week, and he's going to be playing for Carolina in the secondary against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Something smells fishy. I think Carolina's in some trouble here. I think Brady gets the job done over a frisky Carolina team and your guy, Sam Darnold.
All right, tomorrow's headlines today, big divisional matchup. Vikings, Packers at Lambeau. Redemption, revenge for Green Bay. What do you think?
Yes, redemption indeed. A little head-to-head action. The headline will be, what the Packers tee off on Vikings.
Wow.
Look at the coffee there for Aaron Rodgers. Colin, hey, I think some people are going to be surprised. Casual fans are going to be like, wait, what? Packers are favored in this one? Let's remember, Dallas was favored against Minnesota when Minnesota was rolling. Dallas won 40-3. Detroit was favored against Minnesota when Minnesota was rolling. Detroit wins by double digits over the Vikings. And something feels off about this Vikings defense. Mac Jones goes up and down the field against them. Remember that? Jared Goff, 30-plus points. Mike White and the Jets had 400 yards of offense. Basically, everybody destroys this Minnesota defense. I think Rodgers gets it done here. Now, the Watson news makes it a tricky handicap.
They don't have much of a vertical passing game without him.
Yeah, and I do worry. The Packers play a lot of zone. Kirk Cousins, we know, can carve up zones. Justin Jefferson just finding spots in them. So I think Vikings hang around. They don't get blown out here, but I think the Packers cover. I'll take them favored by 3.5, 3.5.
Tomorrow's headlines today, Rams, Chargers. Chargers favored by a lot, but I don't know. Bosa playing, not playing. What do you think?
I've been talking up the Chargers a lot the last couple weeks. Get in on those Super Bowl futures if you can. The headline will be, flip the script. Chargers vie for Hollywood ending, the new LA team. Obviously, the Rams won the Super Bowl last year. I just like this Chargers team's getting healthier. Obviously, Bosa will play this week, huge. And Colin, let's remember, no team is as good or as bad as they were last week. Are the Rams, who scored 51 on the Broncos, they're not that good.
No.
I think they come down to earth. People watch that Chargers-Colts game and were like, this is a Chargers team that's good? They could barely beat the Colts. Couldn't do much offensively. I think the Chargers serve notice here. I know betting them at home can be risky, Colin. There's a Chargers team to watch heading into the postseason.
For the record, you are pretty good this year, aren't you?
It's been a good season, yes.
All right. Tomorrow's headlines today. Browns and Commanders. Cleveland's impossible to root for. What say you?
They are impossible to root for, but Washington is starting Carson Wentz. The headline will be Commander in grief. Wentz heartbroken at home. Colin, this is the stat of the weekend. I don't think I've heard it anywhere on this network, but teams the week after they play the Niners. You know who played the Niners last week? Washington. 0-13 this season. San Francisco physically beats the hell out of teams. They pound them into submission. Washington got really rattled last week, and they're going to be starting Carson Wentz. And Colin, the last time he started a game was against the Bears on Thursday Night Football. He had 99 yards passing against the Bears. This Carson Wentz is not good. I know Deshaun Watson has not played well, but if you look inside the numbers a little bit, he hasn't been awful. Okay, he's not been great. But Carson Wentz the reality is he's not a good quarterback. I think I like Cleveland here. I would not be surprised if Cleveland, money's coming in on the Browns today, if they go off as the favorite in Washington. With nothing to play for, Washington up against it to get into the postseason.
Your reasoning's very good. Tomorrow's headlines today, Niners, Raiders without Derek Carr. I hate big favorites.
Yes.
How do the Raiders move the ball?
I love all these sharps keep going against Brock Purdy. Like, he can't be favored. Brock Purdy just covers. And the Raiders, I love piling on them. The headline will be bad karma. Raiders wave white flag on season. Listen, Jarrett Stidham really against this Niners defense? Dude, if you haven't started a game all season and now you got to face the best defense in the NFL, this one could get ugly, Colin. We know that. And internally, you saw the quotes from Davante Adams on Instagram openly saying, I disagree with this move. I don't want to say there's a mutiny going on with McDaniels, but apparently there's some closed-door meetings happening with McDaniels and the owner, and it just feels very bad vibey. We don't know if Jacobs is coming back, Waller, Renfro. There's so much uncertainty. I just think that San Francisco goes there. And by the way, they can still get the number 2 seed. They can pass Minnesota, get that number 2 seed. They got something to play for.
Yes.
I'm laying it with San Fran.
Finally, J-Mac, your beloved Jets. Tomorrow's headlines today, Seattle and New York. Now, I took the Jets. I rarely do. I have a feeling where you're going.
What could that be? The headline will be, celebrate good times. Come on. Listen, Saleh gives us all the good headlines. The New York Jets go into Seattle and get the victory, and they're now playing for a playoff spot next week in Week 18. I don't like the Seattle team right now, Colin. You hyped them a lot earlier this season. They were looking good.
Well, they were, and Pete was celebrating riding the Seattle wave. Now they're a very weak franchise that needs a quarterback.
It was a little too much grave dancing on Russell Wilson, by the way. Instead of focusing on your quarterback, Geno is cratering, Colin. It's been ugly. No covers the last 6 weeks. I mean, they're getting beat by Sam Darnold. Like, it just has not – they can't move the football, right? And with Lockett out, though he did practice this week, it's basically down to DK Metcalf and Kenneth Walker. I saw Will Dissly's now out. He's on the IR. His season's over. It's like, is this a Noah Fant game? I don't know where Seattle turns to for offense. Mike White goes to the Northwest, gets the Jets the W. I laid it at 1.5, 2, 2.5. I'm a little heavy on the Jets this weekend.
Okay, so both you and I have the Jets and the Niners. We disagree on the Vikings, and you'll probably be right. Let me ask you about one game you haven't picked. I stay away from a lot of the big TV games, but I think the efficiency, Cincinnati at home, is really good.
Yeah.
Who would you take in that spot? They're getting points.
It's tough.
They don't turn it over. Burrow's getting a lot of time to throw. Effective run game.
So, Brady's like 1-11-1 against the spread in his last 13 games. Right. The Bengals are the opposite. They're a covering machine.
Yes.
And I feel like this is one of those rah-rah games at night, at home. Buffalo, like Josh Allen, if you really look closely, he was terrible last week against Chicago. Bad interceptions.
So
this is like a trend. I think I got to continue to ride Cincinnati. I know we got a lot of Bengals fans that watch this show. And earlier this season, they were like, Jason, you're missing the boat. And finally, I got in last week, remember, against the Patriots. I think you got to go with Burrow. But, Colin, here, let me ask you one more thing on the Jets' playoff chances. Miami has to start Bridgewater this week.
Yeah.
We got Miami Jets Week 18, likely for a playoff spot. Miami. Do you think Tua will come back for that game?
So that's where I think this whole thing has nuance. He'll probably pass concussion protocol.
Okay,
let's say 4 more days of not so Tuesday morning they do concussion protocol, or Wednesday, and he passes. He's going to fight like mad to play.
Yeah.
They tried to move off him twice. If he is struggling and not available, you're not a quarterback in this league. We may struggle with Daniel Jones. He's available. But like Zach Wilson, part of his problem was he got hurt a lot.
Yeah.
And so you're dealing with people's brains here, so you have to be very sensitive. But again, I would have no problem with Miami shutting Tua down for the year. That feels right. But just know that Tua is going to fight like mad. My takeaway is, if it's in Miami, even with Bridgewater.
So people aren't going to want to hear this. The Jets were able to face Bridgewater last time these two teams met. They knocked him out on the first play of the game. Sauce Gardner coming off the edge, so the Jets got to beat up on Skylar Thompson, the third stringer. Right. What if the Jets have to face Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson again for a playoff spot?
Yeah, the Jets are a fascinating team, not just because you're on the show, but I really think with Garoppolo or Derek Carr with these weapons, first of all, they're the best corner in the game now. Their defensive line's fantastic. They have a defensive coach. Breece Hall comes back.
Oh, yeah, next year.
They have 2 receivers I like.
AVT, the lineman from USC, who you like a lot. He's going to be back.
So left tackle, quarterback, it's a playoff team with a New England team that can't get the offense right or draft it or develop it or quarterback it. Yeah. A Miami team that may be, let's be honest, transitioning out of Tua. Now, they're one to keep your eye on. And I saw it this week. Brady, a lot of talk about Brady. Brady to Miami outside of the Niners feels like the play to me. Now, you think it's Vegas.
But I do want to ask, just listening to that explanation, Colin, we've explained the NFC is the conference to go to. There is, no good teams there. Nobody's good. Why would you go to the AFC or stay in the AFC?
Well, because I think the first choice for Tom is San Francisco. But if Brock Purdy gets them to a Super Bowl and you're paying him nothing for 4 years, he was the last player taken, you can keep all your all-stars.
And Trey Lance and Brock Purdy,
Right.
and you can, yeah.
So it's like you don't have to trade anybody. They got a Pro Bowler at safety, linebacker, edge, left tackle.
But does Derek Carr say, I want to go to the NFC? I don't want to deal with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert and the Bills. I mean, you're looking at Bills, Bengals, and Chiefs dominating the AFC for the next, decade?
Awesome stuff.